Before we begin, I have 2 points of information just to share with you. Number one, this session will be recorded. And number two, there will be an allotment of 15 minutes after the presentation for additional question and answers. Both the recording and all of the question and answers will be posted to DASNY's website at dasny.org. The presentation will now begin with Stanley Reed, Assistant Director of Investments. Stan?
Great, thank you very much, Rachel. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to DASNY's informational session. My name is Stanley Reed, and I am the Assistant Director of the Investments Unit here at DASNY. I have worked in the Investments Unit for 19 plus years and have been with DASNY for over 20. Today, I'll be walking everyone through an overview of our current investment system, touching on some of the key processes we currently utilize with the system, and lastly, key functionality we're looking for from the new system. Next slide. Here is the agenda for today's session. We will start with presenter introduction, which we've taken care of that, DASNY overview, DASNY's investments overview, new system requirements, additional functionality, ancillary services, and finally, reminders. I think we can begin. Next slide. DASNY overview. DASNY is a public benefit corporation, an independent corporate agency with governmental functions delegated to it by the state of New York. DASNY is authorized to finance, design, construct, or rehabilitate buildings for use by various public and non-for-profit corporations. We have two primary lines of business. They are debt issuance and construction management. DASNY provides services to various clients within two major categories: public entities and private institutions. DASNY is one of the largest issuers of tax-exempt debt in the nation and currently has several hundred series of tax-exempt and taxable bonds outstanding, with a total par value of approximately $58.2 billion as of March 31, 2020. During the fiscal year 2019-20, DASNY sold 28 bond issues totaling $9.7 billion. DASNY's construction division provides a multitude of services in various forms in connection with the design, construction, and financing of capital facilities for its clients. Next slide. DASNY's investment overview. DASNY's investment portfolio during the 2019-20 fiscal year fluctuated between $5 billion and $6.5 billion in assets. The portfolio is currently held with 4 bond trustees and 1 corporate banking partner. The portfolio includes DASNY's operating and reserve funds, client equity and bond proceeds, which DASNY invests on behalf of itself and our clients exclusively in these fixed income assets you see. They are limited by DASNY's investment policy and guidelines and the underlying bond resolution for each issue. Next slide. Numbers at a glance. Here are a few charts as of March 31, 2020 that can give you an idea of the current makeup of our portfolio. The top chart will give you an idea of the types of assets we currently hold in our portfolio and the total cost in each category. The chart at the bottom gives you the same information, but broken out by fund groups and their maturity distribution. The ability to produce these types of charts for portfolio analysis and presentation is key. Next slide. DASNY's current investment system. DASNY currently uses the FIS SunGard APS2 system for its investments. This is a legacy system that houses all records that we recorded on DASNY's books. We currently have approximately 2,000 active accounts with 5 custodian and trustee banks and approximately 2,800 active investment line numbers. However, we have over 7,000 accounts within the current system that contains matured or expired activity we maintain for historical reporting purposes. DASNY is looking for input with your proposal as to what the industry standard or best practices are as to how much data needs to be brought forward into the new system. As you can see, we have outgrown this system, and because of the size, we are losing some functionality. We currently cannot run fund group reports on specific groups. For example, if we want to see all construction funds within a report or a download, we are currently unable to produce these reports by just picking that specific fund group and running the report or download. We must run the report and select all fund groups and then manipulate the report or download to isolate the construction funds. We want a system that will provide automated workflow processes for review and approval steps. Also, we would like robust reporting options, especially in the management reporting area. Next slide. New system requirements. The system must be able to integrate with DASNY's accounting system, JD Edwards World. It must be able to interface with the general ledger, creating accounting journal entries reflecting all investment transaction activity. It must be able to generate GASB compliant reports. DASNY is specifically looking for GASB 40, deposit investment risk, and GASB 72, fair value measurement. We have attached examples of these reports in the attachments section of the RFP, as these are critical components of multiple state audits provided annually. It needs to be able to group or filter based on key identifiers. We need the ability to put each fund in a specific group. For example, we should be able to assign all construction funds with a specific code and a debt service with a different code, and be able to run reports that would be able to separate based on these codes. It would be nice to have the ability to assign funds to more than one group. For example, if you could assign a construction fund or assign a fund to a construction group and also assign the same construction fund to a private or public institution group, we would be able to run a report on all private construction funds quickly without going through all the manipulation. FIS SunGuard currently provides month-end pricing files to be uploaded to the system's securities library. This allows DASNY to run current and historical market value reports and to monitor reserve requirements. DASNY needs to be able to perform this function with the new system. If this service has an additional fee, please add this to the cost of the proposal. If you do not offer this service, please include which vendors you can integrate with. Next slide. Additional functionality. While these items are not required by the system, it is added functionality that we would like to see. The current system utilizes a 6-digit fund code, which will no longer support DASNY's needs. DASNY is looking for the new system to be able to support a minimum of 8-digit fund code for further expansion as we continue to issue more bonds, especially in specific programs. We are looking for the system with built-in logic to include auto-assign functionality. Auto-assign functionality would assign an 8-digit fund number, the first 2 digits identifying the program. For example, 60 or 60 would be higher education, 80 would be healthcare, 40 would be CUNY, and 29 would be New York State agencies, just for examples. And the last digit identifies the account type. For example, a 0 at the end would identify that it is a construction fund, a 2, a debt service fund, a 3, a reserve fund, and a 7, an operating fund, for some examples. There are instances where we would manually assign the fund numbers as well. If this auto-assign functionality is not available, another option would be to import certain required fields into the system as opposed to manually entering the information. DASNY's investment group performs trades on all operating, rehab, and bond proceed construction funds. DASNY currently utilizes the Bloomberg terminal to execute and track all of this activity. All activity is downloaded from the Bloomberg blotter, and a routine is run to add additional data and moves the purchases and sales into the system to be posted. I want to note and to point out that this is a clarification to what is in the RFP on page 7, external and internal links. DASNY's bond trustees perform many transactions through their respective trading arms, purchasing and selling securities and restricted funds, which include debt service funds, debt service reserve funds, and arbitrage rebate funds. A SQL database pulls daily transactional activity from the trustee website into a database via APIs or FTP and maps the data fields with the APS2 system and moves the data into the system for posting. DASNY is looking for a system with full trade import functionality to be able to post transactions in the system from these various sources. In addition, we are looking for built-in workflows with review and approval steps. We are also looking for the ability on manual transaction input for the system to be intuitive and auto-populate certain fields based on key manual input information. For example, if a QSIP is input, items such as the maturity date, coupon rate, and security name or type would auto-populate. Or if an existing line number for a security was input or a sale, the details would auto-populate from the original purchased information. We are looking for a system which includes management reporting with built-in graphing and charting capabilities. DASNY currently prepares a quarterly treasurer's report which details total portfolio maturity distribution by fund type, investment types broken out by provider and maturity distribution, investments by custodian, and broker-dealer analysis. We would like to have a system that could produce these graphs and charts. If your system does not have this ability, please provide a recommended solution for this type of graphing and charting. Currently, DASNY does not have any collateralized investment agreements or long-term purchase agreements in its investment portfolio. We are looking for a new system to be able to define the collateral margin for the specific issue and be able to track the collateral in the system and evaluate the collateral to the required valuation amount. Next page. Sample reserve evaluation. One critical function that the APS2 system can perform is to monitor reserve requirements based on various calculation methods and provide an alert when the reserve requirement is not being met. For example, on this slide, I will show you a sample reserve evaluation that's a custom report built for our current system. This is a sample of a debt service reserve fund for one of our clients. The limit represents the minimum value the account is required to be at, and that limit is housed in a table within the system organized in fund number order, or in this report, project number order, which is 292613. These limits can change throughout the life of the bond issue. In the last column, the project limit represents the value of the securities held in the account based on the valuation method determined by the bond documents and identified in the limit table so that this report can be produced. Highlighted in yellow is the valuation method for the report, lower of par or market plus accrued interest. There are multiple valuation methods. Here are a few more. Lower of cost or par plus accrued interest, market value plus accrued interest, lower of par or market plus accrued interest, and last cost plus accrued interest. We are not looking for this exact same report, but we need to have the capability to perform the evaluation identified at month end and flag when requirements are not being met, as any deficiency in these accounts needs to be addressed timely. We also have instances where a debt service reserve fund requirement is met with a surety bond or a letter of credit. These are off-balance sheet items that are recorded in a separate module within SunGard and tracked. We would like to know how you would handle or propose to handle these types of items. Key information that needs to be tracked is the provider, the amount, and the expiration date. Next slide. Ancillary Services Cash Management Module. Bi-monthly check runs require the movement of monies between all banks to fund each check run and to facilitate reimbursements to vendors. DASNY currently uses an in-house built Excel spreadsheet for payment coordination. Cash balances from the 5 banks are maintained and updated manually within the Excel spreadsheet. Income projection reports are run from the FIS SunGard investment system, identifying upcoming maturities and interest payments. The total receipt amounts from this report are input manually into the Excel spreadsheet also. Accounts payables funding requirements are downloaded from JD Edwards into the Excel spreadsheet. The Excel spreadsheet is then used to calculate par amounts for purchases and sales and stage and execute trades through the Bloomberg terminal. This spreadsheet also helps coordinate the movement of monies between banks for the funding process. We are looking for a cash management module that will coordinate these functions, giving us a clear look into the cash position and the liquidity of our fixed income assets while matching this up against our funding requirements from JD Edwards. This would allow us more time to focus on investment decisions and analysis. It will also move us away from all the manual processes that have a greater propensity for error. We are also looking for the system to possibly consolidate the movement of monies between banks and payments for the funding process. Next slide. Ancillary Services Accounting Module. We are looking for this system to integrate with DASNY's accounting system, JD Edwards. We are looking for a system that could reconcile cash and assets to the trustee and custodian statements. We are currently doing most of the asset recon in an automated fashion using APIs or pulling data from trustee websites and comparing it with the data in our system through a routine programmed by our IT department. Please give us a clear, detailed picture of your accounting module and its abilities so that we may see what advantages your system brings to DASNY. Next slide. Here's reminders. First, I want to remind you about the sample contract included in the RFP, Attachment C. It is the draft form of the contract DASNY proposes to execute between the selected proposer and DASNY. Please make sure to look at this attachment and identify all questions, comments, requests, exceptions, or objections, if any, that you may have to the contract for DASNY's review and consideration. Any such objections must be set forth in writing and should be as detailed as possible. Any objections must include proposed alternative wording. Thank you, and I will now turn this back over to Rachel to finish the reminders section.
Thank you, Stan. Just some reminders before we open it up for questions. If there are any questions that we did not get to today, just letting you know, please make sure you submit your questions in writing by October 15th by 5 p.m. To Jackie McGovern at rfpcoordinator@dasny.org. She is the only contact you may reach out to during this procurement process. Other important dates, these are all listed in your RFP. DASNY will post responses to your questions by October 22nd to DASNY's website. Please make sure you have your proposals to DASNY by November 5th by 5 p.m. If you are selected for an interview, interviews will be held the week of December 7th. Your firm will be notified of the exact day and time. On-site visits are to be determined at this time. Again, your firm will be notified of the day and time if this goes to fruition. If DASNY board approval is needed for this, this will be probably early January, a decision will be made. And notice of award, your firm will be notified sometime in February. At this time, I'd like to open up the floor to any questions that you may have.
If anybody is interested or has any questions, please use the chat and chat to me here. At this time, Stan, not one question has come in yet.
Okay.
Stan, first question, is it possible to have a holdings report by position or tax lot be provided?
Yeah, I think we can. I think that we could provide that.
Are we gonna provide that by an amendment to the RFP? Do we need to send it out there, Stan?
Yeah. Yeah, so I guess are they asking if we could provide that from the trustee side, or is that something we could provide as an example?
I'll wait for the follow-up here on that. Yes, so the question here is, could you please confirm that the written question due date is Thursday, October 15th? That is accurate. Right, Rachel?
Yes.
Yes. And all these questions here will also be added to the Q&A with answers. DASNY has gone out for an investment RFP in the past. What has changed now, and why was there no decision in the past?
Yeah, I think that we did go out to RFP prior, and I think we did some looking internally after we had done that and just determined that we wanted to go back out and specifically look at the pieces individually. I think when we went out prior, we were looking at the debt side and the investment side. And I think internally, we just decided that we wanted to separate those two items and look at those individually. And now we're going back out to RFP just for the investment piece.
To follow up that first question on the holdings report, the response was either way, the custodian report or the holdings report as a sample from your current system would work great.
Yeah, we can provide that.
And that's okay to scan, just to confirm, to post to our website as an attachment?
Yeah, I think we can run something and attach that out there, yes.
Okay. Is this RFP process taking place because APS2 is being sunset in December 2021?
Yeah, yes, that would be, yes, that is part of it. That is our understanding that the APS2 system is sunsetting on December 31st of 2021.
One other thing too, if you did call in as a call-in user and your name was not on the participant list, and or you did not register for this with me, if you could please just send me an email if you were a call-in user that you attended. I do like to keep a record, especially if there's any updates, to be able to send to you throughout this procurement process. I think maybe we'll give it one more minute, Stan. Nothing has come in since that last question. See if there's anything out there, and not. Again, if there's any questions that come in after this presentation is over, or this meeting is over, excuse me, you can still ask to the Upstate RFP coordinator inbox, and we will be answering them as part of the Q&A process in case you forget something today. It doesn't look like we're getting anything else, Stan.
Yeah, the other thing is too, just to clarify on that last question, are they looking for a sample of that type of report, or are they looking for our full inventory report? That's on the tax lot and the inventory question.
Yep, I'll wait for him to respond. If possible, the full inventory report.
That's a large report. I guess my first impression was to give a sample, but not the full report.
We may have limitations.
Yeah, we can just, I think that's something we'll have to discuss internally.
Yeah. We did get another question. In the meantime, what system is being used for trade order management, and will integration with this system be required?
Yeah, we currently do not have a TOM system. We're just using the Bloomberg system to coordinate everything.
Okay, I think I'm gonna call it, oh, never mind, hold on. Back to the inventory report. If that is too much, then if we could see a breakout by security type and percent of the pool by security type, that would also help. This is specifically for fees.
Yeah, we'll have to address that. We'll get back to them on that.
Thank you. Was the response back.
Any other questions, Jackie?
Nope, I am not seeing. I was just giving another, just in case there was a follow-up to that, but I think we're good. And any question, as I said, that you may have after this, feel free to email upstate RFP coordinator at dasney.org. That will conclude our informational session here. Hope everybody has a great rest of the day. Thank you, Stan.
Thank you very much. Yep, thank you.
Thank you.
And